So obviously you guys know this is Allie and I'm Jonathan, and we're going to talk about detox. Have you guys done a detox before? Like a 10-day, or you might have. Yeah. So the detox that I've used for years is Metagenics, and there's a 10-day, and I'll talk about it in here a little bit. There's a 10-day. If you really want to go at it, it would be the 30-day. Yeah, you're like, oh my gosh. It's not that bad. You're not eating your grass and your lawn, you know. It's let me see if I can get this thing right. Okay. So 5 factors of health. You guys, at least you're doing some of this. Sound nervous system means you're getting adjusted, and we're trying to clear out your nervous system, because you guys know the nervous system is the most important thing, right? When you release hydrochloric acid from your stomach, it's your brain that sends a message to your stomach to release hydrochloric acid, right? Or bile from your gallbladder. All the processes of the body is done through your nervous system. So we're going to talk about nutrition or detox tonight, but these are the 5 factors. You should be doing all of these. So you may say to yourself, hey, you know, I'm doing good with this, but wow, this is a challenge. So, and you guys can talk to us about that. There's certain things we can do for sleep. Positive mental attitude, you know, you may not want to watch, you know, CNN at night and stuff. Exercise is super important. We should be getting minimum 20 minutes per day, whatever, you know, whether that's weights or cardio. And walking is good, but it's not enough. To release enough serotonin, you have to do much more than walking, because when you do cardio, especially when you're huffing and puffing, your body releases a lot more serotonin and endorphins than just walking. So walking's I'm going the wrong way. Walking's okay, but try to get intense cardio if you can. You know, 15 to 20. Even if you haven't done it for a long time, just start with like 10 minutes. So you guys know that you probably read in the news, and I think they actually some of the candidates talked about this. It was interesting how we rank for how much we spend, where we rank out of all industrialized nations for all these healthcare factors, and we're not doing that great, right? U.S. rank out of, I think, 42, I guess industrialized nations. I guess maybe Cuba, Jordan. I don't know where they rank in that, but we rank 42nd, which is down from the 11th 2 decades ago for life expectancy and infant mortality. So, and you may have seen that people are living, you know, the newer generations are living a lot, you know, their life expectancy is not as good as their parents. Like my grandmother lived to 102. But we may be living, you know, somewhat a little bit longer, but do you want to live the last 10 years of your life in like a nursing home with a tube up your nose? So you want to live quality, right? And that has to do with what we're going to talk about, nutrition and exercise and detoxing. But we're 5% of the world's population who consume 60% of the world's medications, and we pay the most, right? So number 1 cause of death, probably 15 years from now, will be type 2 diabetes, which is totally preventable. If someone has type 2 diabetes, if they eat the right kinds of food, it's totally reversible. So you may know some of this. And you have to think about, where is Medicare coverage going to be in 20 years? It may be gone. I think if you look at, there's promising all the time, it's going to be there, but I wouldn't bank on that. So what you need to do is make sure you're exercising, eating right, doing all your preventative medicine. Because Social Security and Medicare, they don't know if it's going to be around for us, right? It could be bankrupt by then. More positive news. So, there's some other stats, right? We die 10 times faster from heart disease than most industrialized countries, even though we have the best doctors, best drugs, best surgeons. So there's something going on that's not right in our healthcare status, right? If you just go over the stats about, the number 1 cause of death is heart disease, right? So, look, 79 million Americans have heart disease. And a lot of this is preventable. For years, and cancer. How long have we been bad? Do you know which president was like, we're going to start the revolution, the cure for cancer. Do you remember who it was? Nixon. So that's how long we've been battling to find the cure for cancer. And I mean, we've probably put in the hole trillions. And we've made some things that have improved. I mean, don't get me wrong, some things we've improved on, but still, number one, number two killer is somewhat preventable. A lot of that's from diet and exercise, lowering cancer rates. And that's why it's frustrating, because a lot of these nonprofits, and I understand they're trying to raise, cure for cancer, but none of them have. How many commercials have you seen on TV? It says, these are the top foods that help to prevent cancer. Like zero, because there's no, you can't put a patent on a banana, or you know what I mean? There's no money involved in that. So unfortunately, that's how it works in America, right? So we have to educate. This is just talking about children's health. I think you might have seen this slide. Just comparing, someone's normal esophagus to one that has, a child that's had a lot of gluten. Yeah, I mean, autism rates right now are extremely high. They don't know the cure. I mean, what is causing them. They did that study on vaccines, right, the MMR, but they didn't really do it on all of them. So this is someone that has a yeast infection, which we find a lot in kids. And so when your digestive system is off, it affects the hormones in your brain. So they're finding a lot of kids that with their diet is way off, and maybe they're having some, memory issues, where they're flying off the lid. Well, we have to look at their diet first. I don't think just putting them right on Ritalin right away, drugging them up. There's something going on, right? And some kids are just crazy and wild. They need to be outside a little more. We'll just go through some of this stuff. In Japan, the Japanese have lived long for years, right? Because if you look at their diet, they do a lot of green tea, fish, omega-3s, and they consume a lot of antioxidants and fermented foods. And so that enables their immune system to be wicked strong, even though they smoke like crazy over there. But they still live a lot longer than us. And it has to do with their diet. They don't do, they didn't follow the low-fat diet. Remember that? That's what killed us. It was low-fat, high-carb, lots of sugar. So the cause of heart disease, they found out, is not because of lowering your fat. It was because we were consuming so many carbs. It was the sugar and the salt that causes heart disease. It wasn't fat. So, pretty wild, right? And that just talks about inflammation is mostly from our salt and sugar intake, and it can cause a lot of wild things like heart attacks, cancers. There's links to Alzheimer's, some of these other degenerative diseases. So your biggest thing is your salt and sugar and carb intake, because humans in general, what's the average we're supposed to consume? What do they want? It's the healthy level of sodium. It's right, it should be a little bit under 2 grams per day. That's even pretty high. But I think the average American is about 14. That's high, right? And it causes swelling. You can feel it when you've had salty foods, your rings are tight. So this just talks about if you eat these foods, it's going to release free radicals. Free radicals are things that damage our cells, that mutate our cells. When we put toxic waste into our body, the cells mutate and it can cause cancers, right? It's just like radiation is the same thing. It mutates cells. So that's what's happening inside our bodies. And that's why I wish they would talk about this a lot more when it comes to cancers, because they know that. Eating certain foods, exercise, decrease free radicals. It doesn't mutate RNA and DNA, right, in your cells. So, but once again, oh gosh, this is that, right? This is all the crap that we eat. Because really, this is, I don't know how this thing just keeps loading up. This is it's sad, but this is like really the American diet, isn't it? I mean, look at all this. It's crazy. And, sparingly, okay. Maybe once a month, but there's Paula Bain. All that stuff, the carbs, the sugar, processed food. If you look at something like, there was a bread I was looking at, it was just bread. And it had like 30 different ingredients in bread. You probably don't want to buy that. Because there's a lot of chemicals and things. Try to buy things, what's the rule? Like under 5 ingredients? Is it 5? I think it's something like that. If it has 5 and under, probably fairly decent. But if it looks like a novel, that means that there's toxins and chemicals, and that's going to mutate your cells and cause inflammation. Paula Deen, you know, she did the sweet tea, she had her show, and she got diabetes type 2 from, obviously, she consumed the food in her show. And so, then, she changed her diet a little bit, but the thing was frustrating with her, it wasn't like, hey, here's the research, if you completely eat this way, the anti-inflammatory foods we're going to talk about, and exercise, you can get rid of diabetes type 2 without this crap. And that's a drug. So she got paid millions of dollars to endorse this new drug. So, you know what I mean? Like in America, we don't want to change anything. We just want to take this magic pill and make all of our problems go away. But this medication has massive side effects, like bad stuff. So, and this just talks about the United States in the 80s, the changes as we went into the low-fat diet. You know, it was low-fat, and the introduction of high fructose corn syrup really killed us. That's what skyrocketed. So you'll see the red, more than 35% of the population is obese. So it's starting to grow as we do more corn syrup and we continue to eat the carbs. Yeah, because look at Colorado still hanging in there, and then boom. So, yeah, it's scary, right? And so you gotta understand, when you eat any carbs, any excess sugar, it's like, remember the American Indians, when we gave them alcohol, what happened to the American Indians? Like, they had never seen that ever in their history. It was like a heroin. And so that's what happened to sugar with us. It killed us. It's like a drug. And what it does, when you have sugar, it builds up plaque. Your arteries build up plaque because sugar causes inflammation, and salt does. And so your body is laying down cholesterol to protect the arteries. So what do? We don't eat right, we just shove this stint in to expand it, and we can keep eating the donuts. Do you know what I mean? So there's a better way of doing it. Like Bill Clinton, remember he had a horrible diet. Remember he used to stop the Secret Service and he'd make them run in for fast food places. He was known for that. He'd be like, just stop KFC, go in there, give me some. He would do that. He would make them go in. But they found his artery was blocked. Or no, this is the one that's blocked. See how it's constricted? So this is an unhealthy artery on the heart. So if you eat an anti-inflammatory diet, like over 6 months, it can open up the arterial wall without using a stent. And that's what happened. He's really thin. Have you seen him? Yeah. You don't hang out with Bill too much. But if you look at his pre and post pictures, if you ever get a chance. But he changed his diet. His wife needs some help. She hasn't been on the vegan diet. She doesn't look good. And I'm not. Listen, I go to Woodstock, so But anyway, she doesn't look good. Anyways, you can change. You don't need to do the stint. You can change your arterial walls. You can open and expand. You can melt away that atherosclerosis with changing your diet. If you eat anti-inflammatory, it will melt this stuff away, and you can see it right here on a pre and post scan of the heart. So, you guys know we freaked you out about this is bad. So you're going to massively increase your amounts of fruits and vegetables, because if you eat tons of sugar, your body, when it causes inflammation, right, it leads to a lot of these diseases. It increases this enzyme PLA2, which they say is the cause of 98% of most chronic diseases. So inflammation, right, diabetes type 2, how about all the autoimmune diseases we're getting? like dementia, irritable bowel, I mean,
Crohn's,
rheumatoid, thyroid, right? So, this is my grandfather. No, this is this is an interesting story. Have you heard about this? You guys may know, but there's this tribe that's down in Papua New Guinea, down in Southeast Asia, and they found this tribe that only ate really like fish. What does it say in here? Yeah, they ate like rooted vegetables, yams, sweet potatoes, and taro. You ever have taro? A Japanese eat it. It's a root. And there's a lot of minerals in those rooted vegetables. And they, I'm not talking white potatoes, right? Sweet, which is much better for you. Fruit, fish, and coconuts. They found that these people, I mean, their cancer rates were like non-existent. Heart disease didn't really exist. I mean, this guy looks pretty healthy. Looks like there's like an arrow sticking out of his head, but very thin, lean. So coconut, which is big now. Coconut oil is huge. It's an antioxidant. We use it, the coconut seed extract, to kill viruses and bacteria. But yeah, fish. I mean, look at their diet. There's no Burger King on here. There's no processed foods. And so people live a long time. Like this next slide is a researcher, Dr. McCarrison. He went to the Himalayas and found this tribe where he thinks that some of them, because I don't even know if they knew how old they were, lived to 145 years old. And it was all diet-based. And they don't have a lot of Western medicine, which is pretty amazing. People living a long time without any drugs or surgery, totally based on their diet. And most of it was protein and veggies. And they didn't have any processed foods. Because in Uruguay, they eat a lot of protein, but do they eat a lot of, there's probably not a lot of wheat, there's a lot of carbs? I don't think, do they do? Oh, they do.
Bread.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
Oh boy. But maybe years ago with their history, maybe have they always had wheat and carbs? Just in their history?
I think so, because a lot of Italians went there.
To Argentina, okay. Yeah. These damn Italians.
Yeah.
Eating carbs. If they didn't come over, you'd be okay, because it's protein. What they're saying, it's okay to eat meat. It's okay if it's lean and healthy meat. Obviously, if it's, you know what I mean, if it's processed and bovine growth hormone and antibiotics, and they're the cows are not supposed to eat corn if they're grass-fed. But if you get good quality meats, fine. Because they were blaming that, fat, it's bad for you. A lot of these people were eating a lot of fat, but good fat. And they had no heart disease. So that whole thing that fat and meat causes heart disease, not true. It's the sugar and the carbs. Yeah, because the liver gets activated, it's freaking out, the liver, because it releases tons of cholesterol to protect your body. So it's okay to detoxify the liver, and that's what we'll talk about. This just talks about pH levels. You want to have, obviously, a higher pH, 7.3. If you drink a soda that's really acidic, it's 2.5. So to dilute 1 can of soda, you need to drink 30 cups of water, which is a lot. You'd be peeing all day. But that's how, it's like acid.
They're saying that an acid environment in your is as well, also can cause all those diseases that we talked about. You want to make sure that your body is alkaline, which is a new big fad. There's an alkaline diet out where you eat lots of fruit. Same thing, fruits, vegetables, lean meats and stuff instead of the sugar, carbs, salt, grease. That's all really acid based and makes a disease promoting state.
It's funny because in Japan, if they eat any fatty or meat, they drink a ton of green tea, but Ediko's like, always drink green tea? That's my wife. And it's because she says that it breaks it down, the green tea. So I guess if you're going to have a fatty or any kind of protein, drink your green tea. Helps to break that down. And yeah, your diet can relate to osteoporosis, which is weakening of your bones, because as your body gets acidic, it's going to pull calcium out of your bones, right, to buffer. Right, your body is always trying to find balance. So if your sodium levels are off or potassium, it's going to pull minerals from different areas to balance out, so you don't have a heart attack or die or something. So it's important, right, for people to get exercise, but also have a good diet so they don't get osteoporosis. It's just an osteoporotic fracture, just to scare you so you start eating healthy. Right, so the spine can break due to osteoporosis, and it can affect, like in this patient, even the spinal cord. This once again just talks about acidity. You want more alkaline foods, all your green leafy vegetables, that's all more alkaline. Most people are very acidic, and you can check your acidity. You can buy those strips online and pee on them, and then you can see how acidic your urine is. Or I think saliva they do too. So obviously you guys know these are bad, right? Even medications make you acidic. So why don't you talk? I've been talking way too much.
All right.
Sit down over here. It's old man.
So back to things that we should eat. More obviously essential fatty acids are really good to help with bone health, brain health. They wash out acidity, also create a more optimal environment for health. And
It's good for pain too. High doses of omega-3s if you have inflammation or back pain. If you pop 3 omega-3s, whether it's fish or you can use flaxseed, that helps with pain too.
yeah, osteoarthritis helps cushion the joints if your cartilage is decreasing. So yeah, that's good all the way through your life. They're telling pregnant women and kids now to make sure they're taking their DHA to promote brain health in their nervous system too, all the way through elderly years with dementia and Alzheimer's. So essential fatty acids are very important. Again, just some different things to avoid. Artificial sweeteners came into play in the 90s, I guess, when the non-fat, high-carb thing came into play. They wanted to lower the calorie intake of a lot of foods, and so started adding aspartame, which is in your diet sodas. Aspartame is poison for you. Morticians, or it translates into formaldehyde, and so morticians are not having to put as much formaldehyde when they're embalming people anymore. Because
What's convenient for that?
Use.
Listen, keep doing your diet, Pepsi. It's helping us because lowers our
lowering their
overhead.
costs. Exactly. So, it is
It's
formaldehyde. Sucralose, the whole Splenda craze, when everyone kind of figured out that the jig was up with the aspartame, then they started making Splenda, and it tasted a whole lot more like sugar. You could bake with it, you could buy it on the shelves easier than aspartame. So then they made Splenda, and Splenda is one molecule different from sugar, but they add a chlorine molecule to it, or chloride. So same thing, still poisonous for our bodies. It causes our genes to mutate, causes all kinds of crazy diseases. I don't think it causes formaldehyde, but still not better.
Yeah, use real stuff. Just don't go crazy,
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you're gonna do the whole sugar thing, just do the real sugar versus the artificial stuff. Sugar's bad in itself, but at least you can buy like organic cane sugar. It's a little bit better. With the meats, like he said, meat is good. Protein's always good for your body. But with that said, you have to make sure you're not getting a bunch of sources with nitrates and nitrites in them. And also the like bovine growth hormone, pesticides, antibiotics are, I don't know how much you guys know about the whole like meat industry, I guess, but they are now having the cows eat corn instead of grass, and cows aren't supposed to eat corn. It's really bad for their whole body. They grow them huge, they can't walk, it's inhumane anyways, but it's also horrible for our meat source, and it creates it to be a lot less nutrient dense, and corn doesn't do anything for our body. If you've ever noticed, you just, corn just goes straight through you. It has nothing to you, so.
Yeah, and so I would say when you're buying, meat, are you vegetarian? Okay, so
I buy it for my dog.
Yeah.
well, that's good. But you want, you're trying to okay, it's a little, that's $4 more.
Mm-hmm.
But it's worth it. Because when I go to Etika one time, she bought, what did she buy? She bought a chicken. She bought a chicken, that's right, from Costco. And I ate some of it, and I was just like, it just, it didn't taste real. It just was like, so I said, yeah. So we went to Whole Foods, totally different. I mean, really tastier, and it was more expensive. But I think in general, if we eat a little bit less food, in the end, it will be about the same money, because most of us overeat.
Yeah.
And I tend to, some
tend to
nights,
eat
I'll
less.
overeat, and then I'll just pay later. I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? So, I think quality, right? We're trying to do over quantity. And it's tough with kids, I know,
It is
especially my
hard.
son who's ravenous.
And they're savage. I mean, they eat. They're carnivores.
So it's hard. My daughter Mariko is a carboholic. She could eat pizza every day of her life if she had an option to do that. So you're trying to find that balance. Tonight you're not going to go home and you're not going to be 100%. I don't want you to throw everything out of the refrigerator, in the trash. You probably won't do that, right? So, but subtle stuff we can make changes with. So this talk is always good for me because I'm not 100% all the time, but it kind of revitalizes. Okay, yeah, I should do. All right, yes. Small changes.
It is. That's the
Did
big
that make
thing.
any sense? Maybe not at all.
In your head.
I'll just shut up.
It's super overwhelming. I mean, I've been on this journey for a long time of trying to kind of clean out our house and get the chemicals out, get things healthier, and I mean, it takes years, and that's okay. You can't change everything and be perfect, like you said, overnight. But just so you're knowledgeable and educated about what really is going on in the commercial food, cosmetic, cleaning products, all of those industries, then you can slowly start to change things. And there are cheaper ways to do things, like cleaning products. You can make your own out of just a big thing of vinegar and add some water and some lavender essential oil to it. And that creates a really nice cleaning product that's super cheap and it's non-toxic.
We'll have to put that on a video. Show them how to make that.
Yeah, so I know it's super overwhelming. It was really overwhelming for me too at first when I would hear basically anything in King Soopers, which the grocery stores have gotten so much better. They're starting to incorporate
Getting better.
more natural, organic, gluten-free options all the time. And so I can't say that anymore about King Soopers. But it used to be all those commercial brands like Kellogg's and Clorox and GE, all of those, or PG&E, they all want to lower the bottom line or raise the bottom line, lower their costs. And so they use cheap things and they make a lot of shortcuts that are not good for our population.
That's
And
what happened
they-
in Flint. No, I mean, seriously, it was costing too much the water. They were taken out of the Great Lakes, right? Do you guys know what happened in Flint, Michigan with the water? So the city, because they didn't have a lot of money, they said it's costing too much, that clean water, that's not even that great, but out of the Great Lakes, we're going to get the water out of the local river, the Flint River, which is nasty. So they pulled the water out. The problem is they didn't do filtration properly. So this doctor, these medical doctors noticed that kids, when they did the blood test, they had really high levels of lead in them. Skyrocketing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that poisoned
They
thousands of
poisoned
kids
the
there.
kids.
Did you hear about this?
because they didn't want to.
They wanted to save a little money. Certain things in life, you know what I mean? You can't skimp on. Scary.
Yeah.
That's also when you let the government do stuff. You know what I mean? Oh, don't get started.
No,
Right.
I mean, the moral of the story, like, a lot of CEOs sometimes don't have the best morals, and sometimes
we've
they
seen it, yeah.
want to make money, and they don't do what's best for.
Which
everybody
that
else.
cheese, what's that cheese is I used to use a lot as a kid. It was that
Velveeta?
Parmesan in the green bottle.
Oh, yeah, that's wood pulp.
I used to love that.
It's what?
I found out they put wood chips in that. Those son of a
It's the
bitches.
majority of it is
And
wood
yeah, the
pulp.
green thing.
I
It was
love
in
that. I
my
love the
shoes.
taste. I used to put on my
Yeah,
pasta.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's, I
Yeah, it just
freaked
came
out. There's wood in there. That's how they use as a filler.
What?
They use, and it's, and the FDA, which is totally corrupt, I probably gotta edit some of this out, but they allow that. A certain percentage of, because it's wood, it's natural, they allow a certain percentage of fillers in your food. Just like in cereals, they allow us, they know there's gonna be a certain amount of insects in your cereal. There's actually a percentage that they allow in your cereal. Yeah, look online.
Yeah. There's like
What cereal?
all of them.
All of them.
Oh.
Yeah.
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 But
So-
yeah.
But I mean, we're not trying to. Once again, you're not going to be 100%, but I think it's just being conscious. I didn't know these things, so
There really are, like at Sprouts, if you go to Sprouts, there
yeah,
are
it's
so many
Sprouts is
brands
not
that
crazy
are.
expensive as much as Whole Foods.
Yeah,
Is the whole
I mean,
paycheck.
yeah, especially with meats and.
No, I know. Try
Yeah.
Sprouts, or you could send this guy out. Get him good with the. A lot of people are going to do elk. You'd have, that's the
You can
grass
buy a
fed.
cow.
You and I will go out. That's 500 pounds there.
At Whole Foods, they
Yeah,
have
you
like
can
a
freeze it.
We
radius.
don't need a freezer. But try to. I mean, I think Sprouts is pretty decent.
They do. Sprouts is good. They
Yeah.
have there's a ton of new brands that are coming up, some local, some national, but they're really trying to improve the morale of the food industry and make things the right way.
What's the deal with salmon? Now that's like saying it's
Well, this
fresh caught or
Well, this-
farm
Sally was
raised
telling
or
me it's
something.
wild caught.
What?
Wild
Oh, is that
caught.
what I
Yeah,
heard?
Yeah, not farm raised.
Yeah.
Farm raised in fresh water.
I don't know where
So
it
farm
says
is
from,
like-
but we eat a lot of that.
Yeah, it's tough.
You
That's
try
a
and
tough
be healthy
one.
and then you get screwed anyway.
No, that's what's all.
It's not going to get any
Fair,
better
it's
because the
hard.
FDA they just approved the first genetically modified, I call it animal, for consumption, and it's going to be the salmon, which is going to be produced in Canada. This new genetically modified salmon grows 30% faster and larger, but they say it's safe. But there's been no long-term studies. First, and the other screwed up thing is that they're not going to make it you're not going to be able to find it. It's going to be in with the farm. So it's not going to say GMO'd salmon.
They don't
So you're
have
not
to
even
label
going to know.
it.
They're not requiring label. Because they say it's safe. Why would we require it to be labeled? It's totally safe. Don't you trust us? Come on.
Like the Roundup
Government,
that
we
they
do good
spray
stuff
on our
all the time,
vegetables.
It's like that mine up here that they let all that toxic, just the EPA and the stream just polluted it all. Yeah, so.
I mean, that's the thing. There's only so much you can control. The air quality,
Yeah.
you can't control that.
So do your
Food
best.
quality, you can do your best. If you buy organic fruits and vegetables, that's the best. But you're still gonna get pesticides and those things. You can only do so much. Wash your fruits and vegetables with either vinegar or there's Fit on the market, that's vegetable and fruit wash. You can soak that and that will get some of them off.
Yeah, if you can't do organic, and I know it's crazy, like Edico bought, she said she bought, I don't know, it was like 5 apples, and it was like $8 or $9. I don't know what, because Kentaro, he likes this certain type of apple, but the messed up thing is subsidized food in the government here, it's the sugar, the wheat, the
Corn.
meat, and corn and soy. They don't subsidize any fruits and vegetables. That's why they're so crazy expensive. They give all the subsidies to the You know what I mean?
The rule with organic is if you're gonna eat like the outside of it, if it has like a big cover on it, like bananas, watermelon,
Yeah, I would say
cantaloupe,
oranges, right?
oranges, those aren't as important to get organic because you're gonna peel off the shell. But
Yeah.
like spinach, lettuce, grapes, berries are
Strawberries.
notoriously
I
bad.
would get organic,
Yeah,
yeah, because
you
they
get
spray the hell out of those with a toxic. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I know. It's a bummer. It's sad.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is. But it's going to end on a good note.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's going to end on an up, on a win.
Alright, so moving ahead,
You're
keep going with things to avoid. Skip that since we're already depressed.
That's great.
like, oh my god, I'm going to jump out this window right now.
Not our fault.
It's not the second
Pretty
story.
low,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
low, it's low.
So basically the moral of the story is we need to be eating foods that are in their whole state, like foods that our grandparents bought. Look at the ingredients labels. If there are whole foods on there and you know all of them, you can pronounce them, you're good to go. If you don't and it has like potassium chloride and bromide and
Yeah, if
bunch
you can't
of other
pronounce it,
weird
it's
things.
tough. You know,
It's
and there's a
hard.
certain, like citric acid, there's going to be some preservatives in there that it's okay to have some. Some are natural preservatives or they're in very low amounts. Because certain things you want to have preserved a little bit, right?
Well, how on earth do you get any deli meats? Like, I haven't gone beyond.
Hard. Sprouts
my
has
kids
them
eat that
without nitrates.
Yeah, that's a
They're
big
not
thing.
going to last as long. That's the first
even
thing.
I think that there's some commercial brands that now are nitrate free.
Oh, really?
I think so at the store. I think they're starting to come out. There will. This is becoming a huge movement. There are going to be more and more brands, and the big brands are going to have to start. They're not going to
Yeah.
have any business. So just keep checking. There's more and more stuff all the time that's
Yeah.
going to be good, and
I think as it builds, it will get cheaper.
It
It's just
will.
right now. It's just right now we're in that, when something's new, it's expensive.
Mm.
And then when we get more competitors, it should drop,
The subway seems to be still packed every time you drive by there.
It's all
they're
that. it's-
starting to get more natural meats.
and they changed, they took
did
that
change
ingredient out of the
their-
bread. They
Is
had
it
an
Yeah.
yoga
ingredient
mat or
there.
something?
Yeah.
Yoga mats?
Yeah.
There was something toxic in
You're
there.
allowed to have a little bit of yoga mat.
Yeah, maybe that
Yeah,
was
they
yoga
are.
mat. Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's
So-
what I heard.
Yeah.
It's
There was
yoga mat.
something in their,
Yeah.
in their bread.
Yeah.
That the FDA, but they pulled it. Someone investigated. So
I mean, they are like the
Getting
restaurants and stuff. That they are starting to get there. I noticed even like at the grocery store, Tyson, which is notoriously a terrible brand for meat, like chicken. They're
right,
like the worst.
Are they really?
Yeah.
And really inhumane. They just pump their chicken so they
It's a
can't
tough
even
one.
walk. They're so big but I've noticed that they're starting to use like all white meat, starting to get a little bit more humane with things because people are gonna start boycotting those brands. I mean, it's becoming big enough now that it's gonna start to happen. So it will start to happen and good snacks and stuff. Today I bought apple chips, big old bag. Wasn't too expensive and the only ingredient in there is baked apples. Like my son likes them, he's 3, my mom likes them, I like them, my husband will eat them. It's a pretty good snack. So that's a good thing. And obviously your fruits and veggies. If you just kind of browse around Sprouts, for your family's taste, you'll notice some things. If you guys like chips even, there's chips that just are potatoes and oil and not
Right.
a bunch of other stuff. So they're making lots of alternatives and like I said, you don't have to change everything all at once, but if you could just buy a few things more natural this week in your budget and keep doing the rest how you're doing it and then kind of switch it around, that will drastically help.
What's your take on kale? I've kind of heard mixed things now.
So kale is like spinach. Spinach, all those are really good for you. They have lots of good vitamins, good calcium sources, good antioxidants. But again, you have to get the good source. Spinach can be one of the dirtiest vegetables out there. It is really highly pesticide, and the sad thing with spinach is if you get it organic, then you see on the news how much E. coli is in
Yeah, it's
spinach.
tough.
So spinach
Wash
is
it
hard.
and-
So don't get the bagged stuff. Get the,
I don't know
like-
about that because they've had issue with anything bagged. That's where the E. coli cases. I think it just kind of festers in there. It doesn't breathe.
I mean, I'm not
So-
gonna lie, at my house, we go to Costco frequently. I actually think they have quite a few organic brands. And we get a big tub of organic spinach and put it in smoothies. And that's where they say has all the E. coli in it, but obviously not a problem. So,
Yeah, they're getting better. Certain companies, they did a documentary on that, and they've changed that. They're trying to go. Most of that is washed, and
Yeah.
so there's a process that they clean it, but
yeah.
I don't think they get everything.
Yeah. With kale, I mean, there's obviously kale salads and you can eat it raw in smoothies and stuff too, but I think kale tastes the best, in my opinion, like in soups and stuff, and that will kill it anyways.
Oh, yeah.
So you could do it that way too. But yeah, kale is really healthy for you, super good. So that's always a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Waiting for that guy out here. Come along.
Or it's coming. It's we're this good stuff coming for you. I wouldn't leave you all depressed. Just a little bit. Just enough.
Well, the good news is you can be empowered to change.
Yes. There you go.
You can purchase, like I said, you don't have to change everything tonight or in a year even. You can, it's a lifetime thing. But just so you're educated to know that like cereal puts insects in their boxes.
Or you just,
and-
if someone consumes soda or drinking more water. When people
Yeah.
consume more water, hydrating, they have less stiffness, flush out inflammation. Especially if you eat sweets, drink a ton of water, flush that out,
Yeah, everything in moderation. And even for soda, there are healthy alternatives. There's a brand at Sprouts that's called Zevia that uses stevia, which stevia is sort of controversial now too, but way better for you than aspartame, like diet soda. And it's not bad. So if you have to have your soda taste, get some Zevia. There's always an alternative for every food that you might be craving. So that's good news.
It's
Never
been years
to
since
go
I drank the
without.
soda. But I like my alcohol.
Yeah, like
We
the Pepsi
all
or
have our vices, you know what I mean? There's not anyone in this room that doesn't have cravings for something, you know what I mean? Trust me. Pizza, raviolis.
Yeah, you're
Or Edicom went like white rice, like she's just having seizures if she
probably
doesn't
about
have
4
it
cups of
in
that
a few
today.
days.
Does she do brown rice? Yeah,
It's like that's the Satan.
Oh, actually.
That's the,
Is brown actually better than white?
it
Like,
is
probably
because it
brown
has
rice.
the husk, which is more vitamins, and it has more roughage, so it pulls stuff out. But for that, I don't know what happened to the Japanese. They're all about presentation and look.
Yeah,
Like it's
that's
gotta
dirty.
look pretty.
That's dirty.
And dirty. It looks dirty, yeah. Dirty sushi. That sounds horrible. Yeah.
So the other place, other than food, that we have to kind of look at is our body products, hygiene products, and then cleaning products. One big thing is deodorant. We don't want to use aluminum deodorant right in our armpit. This is where our lymph system is, and it will take the aluminum to every part of your body, which aluminum is a heavy metal, and it will disrupt your genetics, your genes, and cause them to mutate, kind of like what he was talking about with the acidity and stuff. So you want
Or
to
the
use
lead in your water.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
my deodorant has that stuff
How
in
do
it.
you know that?
Well, you could go with Tom's or, Arm & Hammer.
Arm & Hammer does have
That's
a-
what I use, is no lead in there. And that actually works. The Tom's was terrible. My pit
It
still
is
stank. It
bad.
didn't do anything.
Yeah, it is bad.
And it was
But
all
again,
like female,
Sprouts-
like it was like lavender. I mean, or I would be smelling like they had lemon or something. But the
Yeah,
baking, the
Arm & Hammer is
Arm &
good.
Hammer for guys. Well, I guess gals too. I
Yeah.
wouldn't leave you out, but I mean, the lavender smell on me, it was nice, but try that.
Do most deodorants have that in it?
Quite a few.
Basically everyone.
Yeah,
Like
or they
Degree,
have,
Oh my god, that's what I use.
Yeah,
That's what I use, Degree.
yeah.
Or Secret.
I don't think there's any coincidence between the rise in breast cancer and that deodorant. I really think, because most of the women have tumors right here. And so,
toxins, you
Yeah.
hold it in. I mean, the body is made to expel toxins. I know it doesn't smell great, but when you use an antiperspirant, right, it's stopping that natural process. That means toxins are getting held in there. You know, these lymph nodes are right there, and that causes mutation.
yeah. not
So,
good. So, you have to be careful of those types of things. You don't want to, like aluminum foil also seeps aluminum into your food. It's also a heavy metal.
yeah, so cast iron, I think a lot of people
You
talk
can use
about.
parchment paper
Yeah.
for your aluminum foil when you cook or whatever you're using it for. Yeah, so just some simple things like that. Yeah,
Do you want to talk about your acupuncture? I mean, I know,
Yeah,
but maybe
I would.
Jen,
yeah.
if you should try to come in and do a little acupuncture. Have you ever had it? You've had really? And the needles are teeny tiny.
Oh, I'm over needles.
Yeah, these will you'll laugh at. You've been poked so many times. You'll laugh at these.
Yeah.
But the cool thing, and she can explain this, but it does balance a lot of stuff out. I've had her see patients that the chiropractic, hasn't helped, and she's been able to help. So I would try some and see how you do. I think it's worth it, especially, if you're trying to figure certain things out and nothing's coming up. I think it's worth it to try. You're trying to do all the non-invasive stuff first, I think that's what we're all trying to do.
I mean, as it pertains to this, acupuncture can help increase your liver function, so you're able to process all the toxins that we're exposed to every day, and also really improve your gut health, which is, like we've talked about, the basis of your whole health. If your gut is properly digesting food and taking food where it needs to go and expelling what it doesn't need, you're going to be healthy.
Yeah.
Having good balance of probiotics and stuff in there, you're going to be healthy. If you're eating the stuff that we talked about is what disrupts the acidity and alkalinity of your gut, which your gut should be acidic. Ruins like the gut flora, the probiotics, so you have good bacteria and bad bacteria. You want the good bacteria to eat away at the bad stuff that you have in there. And that also will create great immunity health and reduce your risk of infections and helps with dementia and Alzheimer's, they've recently found. So
And I think just balancing the nervous system too. I mean, with acupuncture, which
reduces
is big.
like the degree of stress in your body, helps prevent the oxidative damage of what stress does. Stress does horrible things to people.
Yeah.
It can create pain and disease promoting states a lot too, just simply stress and not learning how to breathe during the day. So a lot of people hold their breath the entire day, and that also traps. We're so stressed, we just
We do
without even
breathe
noticing
really
it.
short, a lot of us. So notice your breathing, take deeper breaths, meditate. Anytime yoga or breathing, it's helped a lot of different types of disease processes.
It does
So-
help for awareness, but if you don't want to meditate, that's fine. You can just simply, when you're noticing it, make sure you're taking inhale for 3, pause, exhale for 3, and that really will slow your whole nervous system down. Tell your brain when you're in a traffic jam or whatever that you're safe. You don't need to release adrenaline and get everything going so fast. So that's what's happening. We get so stressed out during the day, and we're so busy and worn so thin that our body constantly is in this state called fight or flight, where it's just releasing adrenaline, which was made prehistorically, like when you're getting chased by a bear.
Yeah, you'll use it sparingly.
Yeah, and then you need lots of time to rest from that, to recuperate and rebuild all the adrenaline that was released. And we're not able to do that. Our bodies are just constantly releasing that adrenaline, and that's when you get the term adrenal fatigue, which can be like kind of chronic fatigue syndrome. You feel really tired, worn down, you get sick a lot, you just don't feel good. So yeah, so we want to tell our bodies that we're safe, and we can do that all day long by just breathing. That's the simplest way to do it.
Yeah. That was good. That was good news, right?
That's good.
It was positive.
So there are-
No, well,
No,
why don't we
you
talk?
guys
We can talk about the detox, maybe.
Well, what about the rest of the chemicals you were talking about? Like besides the deodorant, is there like hair products and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
so yes, all of those products again, all
The
those
Whole
commercial
Foods
ones.
shampoo and conditioner that I use it's actually not that expensive, and it's clean. I think they use grapefruit seed extract. I think in the shampoo it's grapefruit.
Even like Herbal Essence now has a line that's called 100, or it's called like 0% or naked or something. It's clear, and it has nothing bad in it either, or significantly reduced.
Because
at
your
least.
skin, you know, I mean,
Yeah, your skin's your biggest organ, and so everything put topically on your skin
Goes
goes
right
to
to your
your
liver.
blood. Yeah. So you do, I mean, I forget the number, but like a woman on average puts on like thousands of chemicals a day through makeup and soaps and lotions and hairspray and aerosol and all of that. And so that industry actually has done a really good job at providing, even like in Target, more natural products. And they'll say like natural, and sometimes that label gets a little distorted, but it's better than the ones that don't. And I have to say Target is doing a really good job lately. In their checkout aisle, even their snacks, they're having like my son always wants to get stuff there, and they had fruit snacks that were actually like probiotics, and they were really low sugar, had probiotics in them, so way better than like a Mars candy bar.
yeah.
And they have like a whole aisle in their cleaning, hygiene, food, lots of areas that have like a choose well, like green label on the aisle. And yeah, those are all good. Like they have lots of cleaning brands like Myers, Clean Day, The Honest Company, lots of those. What?
Honest.
Yeah, Honest is good. But honestly, with cleaning products, you can make your own for so cheap and so easy.
You can do it.
Yeah, an all-purpose cleaner. It will work for windows, any surface,
Does.
whatever. It's
Yeah.
just
Vinegar.
vinegar, water, and lavender, or whatever oil you like.
You can probably find a lot of those on YouTube how to make them too.
Yeah, you can do a lot of soaps and lotions too, but they're a little more labor intensive. But yeah, cleaning products are super easy to make.
We know how powerful the skin is and how it absorbs because they're switching a lot, like the patch. This is a drug. They